Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
It's a chilly afternoon on the WRAL weather patio, but I'll show you how much lower the temperatures will go tonight and how cold it'll be stepping up tomorrow.
Plus, it's time to face the judge. A woman charged in a fire that destroyed a popular social venue heads to court today.
Also, simply the best. Raleigh claims the top spot on a prestigious list. Why some say they are not surprised.
It is a chilly afternoon out there. We saw those sunny skies. Our lows will be cold again tonight. Good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is out on the WRAL weather patio with a look at how much you'll need to bundle up tomorrow morning. Elizabeth, a good start is that big puffy coat.
Yep, right here, you know, I've got on like 25 layers. I think at this point, no shame. I hate to be cold, and it is going to be another cold night tonight. We take a look outside right now. This is a live look at Wilson. We have beautiful sunshine everywhere, but it's a little bit on the breezy side. We take a look here at the Whirligig Park, and the Whirligigs are moving, not as fast as I've seen them, but they're moving around a little bit. So it's a bit of a wind out there. We take a look at the temperatures. It's cold. Check this out. 30 in Roxborough right now, 32 in South Hill. It's 35 in Rocky Mount, 34 in Raleigh, 36 degrees in Fayetteville. We take a look at our wind speed and wind gusts, and we're looking at 7 in Roxborough, 8 in Rocky Mount. We're gusting to 18 in Rocky Mount, gusting to 22 in Fayetteville, and to 17 in Clinton. This is a look at our wind chill. 25 in Southern Pines. It feels like 28 in Goldsboro, Durham, and Raleigh. Feels like 23 in Roxborough. So it feels really cold out there right now. And so it is, you'll want to take that into consideration as you're heading out this afternoon. We have another chilly night in our forecast. Looking at 15 in Roxborough, 18 South Hill, 21 in Raleigh. That is not the wind chill. That's the actual temperature. We may not see as much wind chill tonight as we did last night, but hey, these temperatures will make it feel just as cold with teens from Durham to Roxborough to South Hill to Rocky Mount to Southern Pines. It's just going to be another cold one. More cold mornings in our forecast. Our normal low is 32, and we'll see 21 tomorrow morning. After that, the temperatures start to climb. We're above freezing Saturday and Sunday, and that's when some rain rolls in. We have a lot of different kinds of weather coming your way. Of course, cold for the next 24 hours. We have rain in the forecast for the weekend. I'm going to go over the timeline for that. Then another Arctic blast early next week, and the chance of some wintry weather mixed in there somewhere. More on all of that coming up.
The woman accused of setting a local bar on fire will be in court today. Ava Marie Torellis was identified on surveillance video right here shortly before the House of Art bar caught on fire. WRAL Sean Gallagher is downtown outside the courthouse right now. Sean, what more have we learned about her?
Yeah, Jeff, we're learning that the woman who is accused in this fire was actually accused of setting fire to something different back in 2021 in the state of New York, charged with arson, and now she'll face new charges here in North Carolina today. She was arrested yesterday and charged with a felony for burning down House of Art. The owners provided photos and video of her from their surveillance cameras here. It shows a woman walk off the porch, and moments later, the whole building was engulfed. The fire destroyed the bar. WRAL News found she was arrested in August of 2021 in Oneida, New York, including a charge for arson, but it's unclear whether she was found guilty or served any jail time due to this. I have reached out to the court system in that area for more information about what happened there. Now, Torellis is in jail right now with a $250,000 bond, and she will be in court for her first appearance in just about an hour and a half. In downtown Raleigh, Sean Gallagher, WRAL News.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, Durham police investigators are looking for an armed robbery suspect. This is him. This is Tyler Ussery. He is considered armed and dangerous right now. He's wanted in connection with a series of armed robberies in Durham between Sunday and Tuesday, including the CVS on Hillsborough Road, the KFC and Taco Bell, and the Subway on Hillsborough Road, and the McDonald's on Guest Road. He is approximately 5 foot 4 inches tall. He weighs about 150 pounds, and you can see he has all of these tattoos on his face. If you see him, call police right away.
Michelle, thanks. We've learned a homeowner was taken to the hospital after fire in Durham. Crews responded to the home on North Buchanan Boulevard around 3:40 this morning. The homeowner was treated on scene by EMS before going to the hospital. A cat that was in the home has not yet been found.
It's another top ranking for the capital city. A new report calls Raleigh the nation's best performing large metropolitan area. And WRAL's Chris Levingood took a look at that report. Chris, why Raleigh out of this?
Well, I'll tell you, Jeff, because of Raleigh's employment conditions. The Milken report says those conditions are strong. It also notes Raleigh's tech field is robust. That's the word they used. It placed Raleigh's wage growth between 2018 and 2023 at more than 47%. Job growth for that same time period was 15.5%. In a press release, Mayor Janet Cowell gave credit to various sectors leading to this success, and that includes startup companies, the pool of educated workers, and the quality of amenities. For a few years, actually, Raleigh was in the top 3 ranking from Milken in this position, and now it's moved up to number 1 as the best performing large metropolitan area.
And we're happy to call it home. Chris, thank you. Inflation ticked up for the month of December, but core inflation slowed for the first time in months. The consumer price index climbed to 2.9% from 2.7% in November. A big part of the increase was a surge in gas prices. Food prices also remained high. The numbers are a sign President-elect Trump will likely inherit the inflation issues as he retakes the White House next week. Let's give you a look at stocks now. In the green for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, up 598 points at this hour.
President Joe Biden is expected to address the nation tonight for the last time from the Oval Office. Prior to tonight's address, he released a farewell letter to the American people. It highlights what he calls the top achievements of his presidency, including reduced crime rates, manufacturing, and a stronger economy. Join NBC News tonight at 8 for live coverage of President Biden's farewell address to the nation from the Oval Office. You can watch that here on WRAL.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, this is a live look in Washington for Senator Marco Rubio's confirmation hearing. It's going on right now. Rubio says that he would prioritize American interests as Secretary of State. He then went on to praise Trump's foreign policy from his first term, and he also spoke about the war in Ukraine being brought to a close, saying that needs to happen. He also says he is hopeful that a deal between Israel and Hamas will be reached, which we actually just have learned was reached about 10 minutes ago. He also commended the Biden administration and the Trump transition team for all of their hard work.
If you have noticed a lot of folks around you coughing and sneezing lately, there is a reason for that. Local hospitals have reported a dramatic increase in flu and RSV cases. Today, we should get a better idea just how much these respiratory illnesses are spreading in our state. And WRAL's Ken Smith is here with what we can expect out of that, Ken.
Jeff, those new numbers are set to be released any minute now, and they're likely to follow recent upward trends. Here's what we know now. As of last week, 4 more people have died from the flu. That brings North Carolina's flu deaths to a total of 17. It's also important to note no children have died from the flu this season. Emergency visits for all respiratory viruses are down slightly from last week, but hospital admissions are up from last week. Dr. Danielle Park is medical director of pediatrics at UNC Medical Center. It appears the spread, he says, of the flu and RSV are returning to pre-pandemic levels.
If you go back to 2019, the peak of RSV and flu were right around January, February. So I would say based on national trends and what we're seeing across North Carolina right now in our emergency departments, I would say to anticipate a peak around February for flu.
Well, Dr. Park suggests anyone 6 months old or older, particularly adults 65 and older, should get vaccinated for flu and COVID. He also highly recommends going back to those pre-pandemic level hygiene practices like washing hands frequently, wiping down highly touched areas, and staying home if you feel sick.
Thanks for the update, Ken. The Food and Drug Administration has banned the use of red dye number 3 in food and drinks. The synthetic color additive is made from petroleum. The dye has been linked to cancer in animals. California, as well as 10 other states, have already made moves to ban the food dye. The FDA already banned the use of red dye number 3 in cosmetics and topical drugs back in 1990.
Global healthcare experts are calling for a new definition of obesity. Doctors currently calculate your height and weight to determine your body mass index, BMI. Well, experts say BMI should be combined with other measurements such as waist circumference and evidence of other health problems caused by excess body fat. Now, according to the CDC, about 40% of adults in the U.S. are obese.
And back here in the Live Center, back to that breaking news I just mentioned a minute ago. Israel and Hamas have agreed to a ceasefire deal. This just in. So here's what we know. The deal will be carried out in 3 phases. It'll begin with a 48-hour pause in the fighting. Assuming that holds, Hamas will release 33 hostages. And these are the so-called humanitarian cases, the elderly, children, the sick, and the wounded. If that proceeds smoothly, this could take place in batches over 42 days. Negotiations to reach the second and third phases would begin after the first 16 days, and this takes place over time in several different stages. Of course, this is breaking news. We will continue to monitor this and update this online and on air.
Next at noon, a 14-year-old boy stabbed to death in New York. The mental health history of the man accused of killing him, and how we're finding out it's not his first incident with a knife.
Also finding answers amid death and destruction from wildfires. New clues on a cause in California.
Well, it's an attempt to join ISIS. A Durham man was arrested for ties to the terror group, where he was caught trying to leave the country.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
Welcome back. Here's a live look at the American Tobacco campus in Durham. And look at the beautiful blue sky over that area right now, and not a cloud in the sky. And it's chilly, though. We're still in the 30s. You're watching WRAL News, available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. A Russian national indicted for sneaking on a flight from New York to Paris is due in court today. Just 2 days ago, a New York grand jury indicted Svetlana Dali. She admitted to stowing away and invading security during an FBI interview. She faces up to 5 years in prison if convicted on the stowaway charge.
Family and friends of a 14-year-old who was stabbed to death are expressing outrage. The community gathered last night to remember Carla Rios. Rios was killed last Friday while walking to school in New York. Police say the man was charged with his murder and has a history of mental health interactions with New York police, including using a knife to pierce a neighbor's Ring camera.
This man should have not been on the streets after so many offenses.
They know that he had a mental illness. Why, throw them to the street?
Investigators say 5 days before Rios' murder, the suspect randomly stabbed a person in the arm on the subway.
At least 25 people dead, more than 12,000 structures destroyed, and more than 40,000 applications for assistance from FEMA. The latest numbers related to the Los Angeles area wildfires are staggering. Amy Kiley shares new clues that could eventually lead to answers.
I think that we're all on edge.
The National Weather Service says the LA fire risk is higher today after a short reprieve yesterday. It's re-upping the severity of its red flag warning.
What I'm most concerned about for this event is a new fire start.
CAL FIRE now ranks the Eaton blaze as the most destructive in Southern California history. It says the Palisades fire is the second. Officials say together they've burned more than 12,000 structures.
We know everyone wants answers, and the community deserves answers.
Investigators are trying to find out how the fire started and became so destructive. New analysis of images from satellites and a wildfire camera suggest the Palisades fire might have ignited near the burn scar from a blaze earlier this month. As for the Eaton fire's origin, newly released video of flames near an electrical tower on January 7th might be a clue. Experts say a perfect storm of wind and dryness caused the fires to spread rapidly. They say no fire department in the world could have done better with those conditions. But newly surfaced video shows firefighters warned city leaders of understaffing just last month.
If we cut one position, if we close one station, if we close one resource, the residents of Los Angeles are going to pay the ultimate sacrifice, and someone will die.
That was Amy Kiley reporting. Now, you heard Amy mention the wind threat increasing the fire risk today. And over the past week, you've likely heard people talk about the Santa Ana winds. Coming up in our next half hour, meteorologist Chris Michaels explains what they are and why they cause so much damage.
Another Arctic blast is headed our way, and if you have to go outside, it's important to be sure you are bundled up. The risk for frostbite is very real in these types of frigid temperatures. Doctors say frostbite can happen at any time when temperatures drop below 32 degrees. Symptoms tend to appear in 3 stages, first being cold, soreness, and pain in the area, followed by pins and needles, and then finally numbness. If you suspect you have second or third stage frostbite, it is critical to get to the emergency room to help prevent long-term damage.
If you do get the redness and that burning pain in your fingers or toes, it typically is safe to try to rewarm them at home. You want to submerge them in a warm bath for about 30 minutes.
Hypothermia is also a big risk and can be deadly if left untreated. Hypothermia happens when your body temperature drops below 95 degrees. It is certainly a dangerous type of situation that it comes on like you think you can overcome it, until your body just can't recover from it, and sometimes that's too late.
I know some people just don't like, grabbing the hat and the scarves and the gloves, but you got to put them on, especially if you're out in the cold for long periods of time. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner shows us how it's done, how to dress appropriately for this cold weather. It's still in the 30s out there, Elizabeth.
It is. And I had this morning when I was out here, I had my gloves and my scarf and my hat and 18 layers. And I let the gloves and the hat go. But over here in the shade, it's still pretty chilly. I kind of feel like I wish that I had the gloves on, but I will say, put on all the layers. You can always take them off. North Hills looking beautiful. That's a gorgeous blue sky there, isn't it? But, as Renee said, it's 34 degrees. Our dew point is 5, and the dew point is the measure of moisture in the atmosphere. It's very, very dry. It's not as windy as it was this morning, but it's still a little breezy, so it's very dry. It's breezy. That means we have high fire danger. So you shouldn't be doing any outdoor burning right now if you can help it, because it could spread really quickly. Temperatures, it's still just 30 in Roxborough. It's sitting right at freezing at South Hill. It's only 33 in Southern Pines, 36 in Fayetteville. It's cold out there. Right now it's 34 degrees in Goldsboro. Of course, not much of a wind chill. We have a little bit. This is a look at our gusts. The gusts are in the white box on the right. Gusting to 18 in Rocky Mount, 22 in Fayetteville. But our wind is coming directly out of the north, around 5 to 10 miles per hour. So it feels like the 20s everywhere. I feel like this is a morning temperature. I feel like, do I have the right graphic up here, right? Or what? 24 is our temperature. That's what it feels like in Roxborough. The wind chill is 28 in Durham, 29 Fayetteville, 30 in Clinton, 29 there in Rocky Mount. So it's lunchtime and it's still really chilly. Another chilly night. We probably won't have as much wind chill to deal with, but we're still going to be cold in the teens. From Southern Pines to Rocky Mount to Roxborough to South Hill, teens. 18 in Durham, 21 Fayetteville, and down in Clinton. So it's just cold. This afternoon we'll probably hit around 40 degrees at RDU, 39 over in Durham, 42 in Fayetteville. And we continue to be chilly tomorrow afternoon, 49, a little bit warmer. And then we see the pattern changing. So Saturday and Sunday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're going to see temperatures in the 50s and some rain. Here's a look at what's happening now. That high pressure system rotating clockwise is dragging down cold air from Canada. But you can get a glimpse of that precipitation that's there in the Gulf, and that's going to start to lift up across our area as we get into the weekend. And it's all going to be rain. But would you like for it to be snow? How about this? Bob Poteet sent us this from Lake Gaston Friday when there was snow on the ground. Would you like to see a little bit more of that? Hold on. First of all, go to WRAL.com/report it. Send us your photos. But take a look at this. Temperatures could be as much as 15 to 16 degrees below average for the middle of the week next week. And the big question is, are we going to see any precipitation that goes with it? And I tell you what, the models have been all over the place. As a matter of fact, it could be Monday? Could it be Wednesday? Could it be Thursday? The models are hinting every once in a while, hey, there could be. So we're just watching for patterns. The pattern is right with temperatures. It's just, will there be any precipitation to line up with it? We're going to take a much closer look at that coming up in 30 minutes. But in the meantime, there's that rain for Saturday, mainly Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, and potentially into Sunday morning.
Elizabeth, thanks. Higher drug costs. The Federal Trade Commission released its second report on the pharmacy benefits management industry, raising prices for treatments for cancer, HIV, and other conditions. How state leaders are pushing back at 4.
Social Security numbers compromised. The software Power School says personal information for some teachers and students was involved in a data breach. Coming up at 5, how you can make sure you and your students' information is protected. What's still ahead this noon? Just call it a case of the Mondays. How Coors is capitalizing on a larger-than-life error.
And having trouble sleeping? A new study says you might want to consider switching careers. Today is the deadline for people to sign up for subsidized health insurance plans on the Affordable Care Act marketplace. Last week, the Biden administration announced a record 24 million people had signed up for coverage under former President Barack Obama's landmark health legislation. The North Carolina Navigator Consortium can help you get signed up for a marketplace health plan or Medicaid. You can find details on WRAL.com. For the second time within a year, Joann Fabrics has filed for bankruptcy. The 82-year-old retailer blames sluggish sales and inventory issues. Joann first filed for bankruptcy in March 2024 and emerged a month later as a private company, keeping all of its stores open. Joann's stores and website will remain open while it navigates the sale process. Employees will also continue to get paid.
Coors Light is temporarily changing its name less than a month before the Super Bowl, and with good reason. Molson Coors, the beer's parent company, is now offering a case of the Mondays. And here's why. The new 3-word slogan should have read Mountain Cold Refreshment. But instead, look closely at that last word there. The Times Square billboard read Refreshment. Molson Coors hopes the Monday's light packaging spurs renewed interest. Some customers, of course, took to Instagram, relentless with this. Comical comments coming out. One user wrote, "Coors Light, you good, bro?" Another added, "No matter how you spell it, it's still so good and refreshing." Another one, "Mondays just be Mondaying over at Coors."
They just spelled it the way one might say that word after they've had
a couple. Yeah. Exactly.
One airline is cutting costs by cutting back on full-time hires and internships. Southwest Airlines says it is attempting to cut costs by halting most summer internships and non-contract internal and external hiring. The company is also pausing a team-building rally they hold every year in order to save money. This comes as the carrier is under pressure from an investor to improve returns. Your job could be disrupting your sleep. Researchers found participants whose jobs were sedentary, which included a lot of white-collar employees and who face a significantly higher risk of insomnia. You can also implement the 3 W's once an hour while you're at work. So remember, walk, water, and window. The first, get moving, walk, then drink water to increase hydration, and spend time looking out of a window to reset.
An airport arrest. A Durham man is in custody, charged as an ISIS sympathizer.
And packing passengers. The number of firearms seized at airports across the country. First, here's a look at the winning lottery numbers. We'll be right back.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
And here in the WRAL Live Center, we continue to monitor that breaking news from overseas. Hamas and Israel have agreed to a ceasefire deal. Here's what we know right now. The deal would be carried out in 3 different phases. It'll begin with a 48-hour pause in fighting. Assuming that holds, Hamas will release 33 hostages. Those will be the elderly, the children, the sick, and the wounded. If that all goes well, this could take place in batches over the next 42 days. Negotiations to reach the second and third phases of a ceasefire agreement would begin after the first 16 days. This takes place over time in several stages. NBC News does have a special report right now. We are currently waiting for the Prime Minister of Qatar to speak. If you would like to watch this NBC report, you can go to our website, that's WRAL.com, and we will continue to update the story here on air, online, and also on WRAL News Plus.
Michelle, thanks. Day 2 of confirmation hearings on Capitol Hill for President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet nominees. On deck, Secretary of State nominee Senator Marco Rubio, Attorney General nominee Pam Bondi, and CIA Director nominee John Ratcliffe. Rebecca Kester reports today's hearings are less contentious than yesterday's hearing for Secretary of Defense nominee Pete Hegseth.
A busy day on Capitol Hill with multiple confirmation hearings for President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet nominees. Florida Senator Marco Rubio, who's up for Secretary of State, received a warm bipartisan welcome from his Senate colleagues. He could be among the first Trump cabinet members to be sworn in on Inauguration Day.
Under President Trump, the top priority of the United States Department of State will be the United States.
I believe you have the skills and are well qualified to serve as Secretary of State.
Attorney General nominee Pam Bondi also began her two-day hearing today. She was pressed by Democrats, but faces an easier road to confirmation than Trump's first pick for AG, former Congressman Matt Gaetz, who dropped out amid a storm of controversy.
Do you believe that those who've been convicted of the January 6th riot violent assaults on our police officers should be pardoned? That's a simple question.
So, Senator, I have not seen any of those files, but let me be very clear in speaking to you. I condemn any violence on a law enforcement officer in this country.
Confirmation hearings got off to a fiery start yesterday, with Trump's defense secretary nominee Pete Hegseth fending off attacks from Democratic senators.
Yes or no, did you lead an audit? Yes or no? What are you afraid of? You can't answer this question. Yes or no, did you lead an audit? Do you not know this answer?
Senator, every part of my leadership of these organizations has been misrepresented.
I will take that as a no.
That was Rebecca Kester reporting. The Transportation Security Administration found more than 6,600 firearms at airport checkpoints in 2024. That's down slightly from the 6,700 found the year before. Passengers can travel with firearms, but there's a protocol. They must be unloaded, locked in a hard-sided case, declared to the airline at the check-in counter, and then packed in checked baggage. When a firearm is found at a checkpoint, the passenger can either be arrested or cited.
Tomorrow afternoon, we could learn more about a Durham man accused of trying to join ISIS. U.S. Attorney Michael Easley Jr. will hold a news conference tomorrow at 2:30. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey tells us the man was arrested at RDU as he was trying to leave the country.
We're learning new information after federal prosecutors released court documents late last night. This man, Alexander White, is now facing federal charges after the FBI says he tried to support ISIS. This is an FBI surveillance photo of him taken back in October. Here's what we know about him so far. White is 29 years old and lives on University Drive in Durham. He's facing federal charges after making Facebook posts in support of ISIS between May and October. The FBI says he booked a flight from RDU to Morocco for December 4th. That's when FBI agents arrested him inside the airport before he was able to board the plane. We'll be sure to keep you updated on what happens next in this case. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Raleigh.
Authorities are looking for a man who led police on a chase and crashed into another car. That chase started on US 64 and deputies chased that driver through Wendell. The driver crashed into another car but didn't stop there. Deputies say the driver then later slammed on his brakes in front of the deputy's car and caused that deputy to hit him in the back end, and the driver crashed then ran away.
Raleigh police need your help tracking down a convicted felon with a violent criminal history. Police are looking for Anthony Dunn. He's wanted for assault with a dangerous weapon, accessory after the fact to murder, and possession of a firearm by convicted felon. Crime Stoppers is offering a reward of up to $1,000 for information that leads to his arrest. A woman charged with starting the fire that burned House of Art in downtown Raleigh is due in court today. Last month, the community came out to support the owners. Hundreds of people were at Poorhouse in Raleigh last night. There was a fundraiser for the House of Art. The event happened hours after authorities charged Eva Torellis with starting the fire last Tuesday. Court documents show she has a prior conviction for arson in New York. It's unclear if the owner will restore the burned building or reopen in a new location.
You celebrate the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. this Monday during the 45th annual Triangle Martin Luther King Jr. Prayer Breakfast presented by WRAL. Join us for an inspiring morning of unity, reflection, and hope, featuring powerful speakers, uplifting music, and messages that celebrate the dream that changed the nation. Watch our broadcast of the service on Fox 50 at 10 a.m. or watch the entire event live starting at 7 a.m. on WRAL.com.
Fires can still burn and spread in the bitter cold. The warning about our state's fire danger.
Nothing is out of reach when it comes to creativity in the snow. How long it took to sculpt this and why it will be short-lived. Be sure you have the latest version of the WRAL News app. The enhanced video experience provides quick access to multiple live streams, including our newscasts, right on your streaming device.
Our Teacher of the Week is using her classroom experience to transform the media center experience for her students.
WRAL's Ken Smith introduces us to a teacher turned librarian now who is dedicated to making reading fun.
Look, Kaden, come put these in the bucket, please.
Jenna Pollock was a classroom teacher for 8 years before becoming the librarian at Douglas Elementary School in Raleigh.
If you are at a construction zone, you need to put all of the items back into the bucket, please.
She says her classroom experience comes in handy running the media center.
It's really what I live for, and I can't imagine doing anything else. I'm so thankful to be here in the library and get to work with our whole school and see that with all the students. Yeah. Yes, it says thankful for you. Put your arm out.
Pollock says even when she was a little younger than her current elementary school students, she knew she wanted to be an educator, and working in the library checks all the boxes.
There's actually a picture on our wall that I drew when I was 5 that says, when I grow up, I want to be a teacher, and when I do, I hope it will be fun. And I drew a picture, and my mom saved it and framed it for me when I graduated from Appalachian.
Look, I made the E.
It is an E. That is awesome.
Pollock says she looks forward each and every day to sharing her love of reading with all the Douglas Elementary School students, which forms the foundation for those reading skills that will benefit them for a long time.
It's a lot of names to learn, but I love getting to see every student in our school and building that relationship with them and inspiring a love of reading for all of our students.
Miss Pollock Hall?
Yes?
You are WRAL's Teacher of the Week.
Oh my goodness.
Congratulations.
Oh my gosh, wow. I don't know what to say.
Ken Smith, WRAL News.
And I hope she sticks around for a long time doing what she loves there. If you would like to nominate a teacher, go to WRAL.com and enter Teacher of the Week in the search box.
I love the surprise and the speechlessness. You know, they're like, Rising fire risks today. Why the Santa Ana winds could cause more devastation in Southern California.
Plus a stunning sculpture, how a heavy dose of winter weather helped one artist make a big splash in his neighborhood.
We're just 15 days into the new year, and already one of the top stories so far has been the wildfires in California. Meteorologist Chris Michaels joins us to talk about how Santa Ana winds cause these fires to grow so quickly.
So you have that gusty wind and that dry air, and then you have the terrain. In fact, I worked in areas like Virginia and Tennessee where you would notice these wildfires spreading very quickly just because of the terrain and how it influences the wind. When it's coming down the slopes, you get the air that compresses, and when it compresses, it warms and it turns even drier too. So the humidity just continues to plummet, but especially with these Santa Ana winds, they're moving over very high, very complex terrain, so you tend to get the wind gusting even stronger, and that's what allows these fires to just grow exponentially. That's also why the National Weather Service in Southern California has this red flag warning. They're forecasting gusts of 40 to 70 miles per hour and humidity levels as low as 7 to 15%. So some critical fire conditions out there once again. Here at home, the fire weather threat is not as high, but the humidity has been incredibly low. In fact, at one point this morning, the dew point got to 0 at RDU, the driest air that we've seen since Christmas Eve. So again, our situation here not nearly as dire as it is in California, but it is very dry on this Wednesday in North Carolina.
And officials are warning about a high risk for fires in our state. As you heard from Chris there, North Carolina State Forest Service says just because it's cold outside, it can still mean fires start easily, especially true given the dry conditions across parts of our state. All it takes is a small flame to start a forest fire and send it up in flames like you see here.
Anywhere between high to very high fire conditions as a result of that dry air, low humidity levels, breezy conditions. And so it's not going to take much for the slightest ignition source to get out of hand to become a potentially dangerous wildfire.
Not much of a spark, especially right now, considering 88% of North Carolina is abnormally dry. Nearly half of the state is in a drought. WRAL meteorologists will get an update on the drought conditions in our state tomorrow morning. Even though it's cold, doesn't mean a whole lot when it's so dry like that outside.
Yeah, here we are in January, and remember just 6 months ago with the heat and the humidity, we're complaining about that, and now it's too cold and too dry. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL weather patio. Just, the change of the seasons, Elizabeth, this is what we get.
There's always something to complain about. Like you said, it's too hot, it's too cold. We get a little bit of Goldilocks weather in the fall and in the spring, and that'll be here before you know it. We take a live look at Fayetteville right now, as well as Raleigh, Apex, Chapel Hill. I mean, it looks beautiful. We're seeing lots of sunshine. Down in Fayetteville, a little bit of cloud cover trying to sneak in, but we're not likely to see anything that's going to be wet here until maybe midday Saturday, maybe a little bit earlier than that in some of our southwest counties. Let's talk about the temperatures overnight tonight. This is hour by hour. This is temperature, not wind chill. The actual temperature will be 32 by 7 o'clock. So we're going to cool off very quickly around midnight, 25, and then in the morning from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. it's going to be 21 to 22 degrees. So it is definitely going to be a very cold night and a very chilly travel to work and school tomorrow morning. This high pressure system is one of the reasons for that. Notice the high is rotating clockwise. It's grabbing some of the cold air from Canada and pushing it down into North Carolina. And we can see some precipitation down around Houston, the Gulf Coast, down toward Florida. Eventually, cold front's going to come along, grab up some of that and push it into our area. Right now, it looks like it would all be rain with this. The cold air is going to very quickly escape up to the north, and we're going to see that Gulf moisture moving in. Mostly going to be rain. We'll see it Saturday, mainly Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, and maybe lingering into Sunday. The thing about Sunday is the models every now and then keep kind of showing that, we might have precipitation wrapping back around and the cold air catches up to it. That's usually not a very good snowmaker for us, but we're keeping our eye on Sunday night just in case. So this is a look at our weekend storm system. This is 1 o'clock Saturday. You can see that rain moving across our area. And then notice how it stops right there Sunday at 7 a.m. And you can see that snow that's developing across the mountains, and you can see Arctic air that's back here. That Arctic air is on its way. Will it catch up with the precipitation? Most oftentimes it doesn't, but it's a possibility, so we'll have our eye on it. Outdoor plans over the weekend. We're going to give it caution light. It looks a little iffy. Saturday morning might be okay. Of course, the timing of this could change some. So if you do have plans to be out and about on Saturday, keep checking in with us between now and then. And then Sunday, some of the models dry us out, and other models, again, bring us a little bit of wraparound moisture on Sunday. After that, boy, very quickly, we see temperatures dropping well below normal. It could be 15 degrees below normal. Will we have any moisture to go along with it? That's the big question. Our main models, the American model, the European model, keep showing, how about some snow this time period? Wait, no, maybe this time period. There is no consensus on what it would be or when it would be, but it will be cold enough next week, even colder than it was last Friday when we got snow. So we're watching for it. A couple of the scenarios would be, of course, nothing where we have a low that develops but stays offshore. Another scenario would be we have a low that rides along a front and pushes some moisture in. But when that is, we were looking at Wednesday, but now it looks like, some of the models say Tuesday, some say Thursday. So just next week, we'll be keeping our eye on it. In the meantime, of course, a cold afternoon, but then we warm up this weekend into the 50s when the rain rolls in.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Immortalizing an iconic moment. How one Detroit Lions fan can cash in on this sweet celebration.
We'd all be celebrating. We had these winning Mega Millions numbers: 4, 14, 35, 49, 62. The Mega Ball 6, the Mega Pliers 3.
As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today. The woman accused of setting a beloved downtown Raleigh bar on fire is expected to appear in court today. Eva Marie Torellis was identified on surveillance video shortly before the House of Art bar caught fire. The bar was destroyed. WRAL News discovered she was arrested in New York in 2021, charged with arson. We have a crew in court, and we'll bring you updates starting at 4.
A Durham man is facing federal charges after prosecutors say he tried to join ISIS. Prosecutors say Alexander White started posting support for ISIS on Facebook last year. They say he wanted to travel overseas and join the group. They say White booked a flight to Morocco. FBI agents arrested him at RDU before he boarded that plane.
A new report ranks Raleigh the nation's best performing large metropolitan area. The Milken report says that's because of the city's employment conditions and robust tech field. It notes Raleigh's wage growth between 2018 and 23 was more than 47%. Job growth for the same time period was more than 15%.
An NFL touchdown celebration has been immortalized, from T-shirts to Christmas ornaments and everything in between. Well, now this. A Michigan bakery has created a life-size cake in the likeness of Detroit Lion Amon-Ra St. Brown's headstand celebration. Look at this. It takes you back to November 3rd now at Green Bay. St. Brown made the touchdown catch on 4th down, and then he just hits that headstand perfectly. People wait for hours outside the bakery to take a picture with the cake right now, and St. Brown has seen it in person. He went there. The bakery is raffling off free tickets to Saturday's home playoff game. The Lions will take on the Commanders at Ford Field.
Well, a Swedish artist is gearing up for an out-of-this-world exhibit. This toy-sized cottage is headed to the moon. While you're sleeping, the Moon House hitched a ride on SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket from Cape Canaveral. The artist behind it has a reputation of putting his little red house in bizarre locations, including up a tree and floating on a lake. He's been waiting nearly 25 years to put the miniature house on the moon.
Hey, when life gives you snow, make snow sculptures. Rick Horton is the man behind this 8-armed creation in Indiana. He has made notable snow sculptures for the past 20 years, everything from Baby Yoda to bald eagles. And he had time to think about this sculpture since the area had not received much snow in the past 2 years. Well, it took him 15 hours to build this snow octopus. He says he'll have to cover it up Friday because more snow is on the way.
Our pet of the day is only 7 months old, but she's already fashionably attired in cream and gray. Meet Miss Figaro. She's a cute little 7-month-old who loves to play with her toys and her foster dad, but she's always up for a cuddle session. Miss Figaro plays well with her foster siblings and would love to have a friend to play with. You can check her out on the Cat Angels website.
NBC News Daily up next on WRAL, your next local news update in 30 minutes.
You can get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Have a great day and try to stay warm.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air channel 34 and Spectrum channel 1257.